What's up, everybody? Dr. Perry Bard here, and in conjunction with Dr. Eric Kaplan, we're so happy and thankful you got a chance to spend some quality time with us. We have a Zoom meeting here. As you know, you're registered for it. We've got some incredible content to share with you. We have an amazing speaker. You know who he is. I'm not going to waste any time because I'm actually want to go right into listening to what he has to say. But before we do that, I'm going to show you a couple of things. I'd love you to take out a piece of paper. Take out a piece of paper right here, right now. Yeah, take it out. You can take some notes. Here we go. You ready? And let's go to work. So most of you know who we are, right? But I never take that for granted. A lot of you don't even know who we are, and that's cool too. So my name is Dr. Perry Bard in conjunction with Dr. Eric Kaplan. What we do is we're your host for today and tonight. So we're going to kind of guide the ship a little bit. And I'm not even going to tell you anything about our resume. You can learn that on your own, but it's a pretty cool resume. Not my resume, his resume. His resume is sick. I mean, sick in a good way, like crazy, like nuts, like nobody has his resume in this business. And our guest speaker, nobody's got his resume. So this is an interesting week. Obviously, you know this is time sensitive. What makes it time sensitive is you didn't know we were going to talk about football. Yeah, we're going to talk a little bit about football. Okay, so I'm not even going to take a poll who's rooting for the Seahawks. I'm not going to take a poll who's rooting for the Patriots. I just hope that you watch the game because it's always an incredible game. And whether you're watching Bad Bunny or not, yeah, that's entertainment. A little controversial. Yeah. But Sunday's the Super Bowl. I'm so excited. If you watch football, I love college football personally. And if you saw Indiana win, that was crazy. It was here in our backyard. But let's talk a little bit about the Super Bowl. It's Sunday night on NBC. And you say, oh my gosh, what? Hold on a second. Time out. What does this have to do with anything? There's always a method to it. I'll show you. I'll share with you. And you'll see why. So there's certain things, obviously, that the game of football, believe it or not, have in common with you, your business, your practice, your world, your universe. And what is it? I think you probably figured it out on your own. That what wins the Super Bowl is the same exact thing that allows you to win in practice. Take a guess. Do you know? All right. Put your thinking cap on. You got it? Yeah. It's called great offense plus great defense. You need both. So the focal point of tonight, 95% of the time, Dr. Kaplan and I are talking about offense, about ammunition, about new patients, about conversions, about education, about overcoming objections, about cash packages, about neuropathy, about decompression, and even knee packages. That's our world that we live in, obviously. But 5 to 10% of the time, we love to talk about defense. When we talk about defense, we want to talk about putting your best defense on the field, as you know. There are some upcoming trainings. We're going to get this out of the way right here, right now, because last time I did this, as you know, obviously, I always get texts and emails that say, why don't you wait to the end? You're going to get it up front. Yeah, you're going to get it up front. Write it down. Saturday. So there's 2 trainings that are coming up. You can choose one. You could choose both. Those are your choices. Choose one or choose both. All predicated on seat availability. Saturday, March 21st, Las Vegas, Nevada. Write it down. The Vegas Car Event, you can go to the website on your own. You can learn about it. The phone number, 888-990-9660. What makes that so special? Well, what makes that incredible is the last 3 times that Dr. Kaplan went to Las Vegas, standing room only, completely sold out. That's why we keep coming back, because they said, you got to come back. You got to come back. So we decided to come back one more time. March 21st is the date. We're going to talk about the business of success. We're going to talk about spinal decompression. We're going to talk about neuropathy. We're going to talk about portals. Eventually, we're going to talk about marketing. We're going to talk about examples. We're going to put 1,000 pages of materials in your hand. Yeah, it's pretty wild. We're going to talk about the cash model of the future of your business. Now, some of you might say, well, gee, I run an insurance model. I run a PI practice. That's cool. But if you want to run a cash model, you better do it right. See, the rules of insurance and cash, there's a lot of the same rules there. We're not going to talk about that here on this. But it is about the business of spinal decompression. So if you want to run a better business, a better practice, a more efficient practice, and you want to flood the gates with new patients, grab a seat there. So let's talk about the second training. Saturday, February 28th at Life University. Write it down, neuropathycertified.org. Write the phone number down. The reason I'm giving you the phone number is because the last 2 days, what's today, Wednesday? Yeah, the last 2 days, I've been getting emails that the website is having a hiccup And I can't tell you how many doctors tried to register and they couldn't. So I had to put you in touch with the head of postgraduate there. You know who I'm talking about. So write the phone number down. So if you can't register, you're going to have to call the number. And if there's seats left, love to see you. This is a training unlike no other. This happens one time per year. You can register at neuropathycertified.org. And if you're interested, and you should be, and I know you are, about to learn the latest in neuropathy care, neuropathy research, nerve and disc connection, the best in neuropathy technology, the best in spinal disc care. It is on the campus. This is an 8-hour CEU program with some of the greatest instructors on the planet. We got surprises for you too. It includes a brand new manual. This is the training you want to come to. This is the training you absolutely positively need to be at. You will be a better doctor. If you're able to get a seat at this, you will be a better doctor. Fact, that's the website. If you're curious what the website looks like, go to Neuropathy Certified. It is a Life University program. They collect all the money. They give the certificates. They offer the CEUs. Dr. Kaplan, myself, and all the instructors donate their time. We're happy to do it. We're paying it forward. Listen, if you've been in this business as long as him and I, my 40-year anniversary, and if you total myself, Dr. Kaplan, and our special guest speaker, I think it's like 130 years. That's longer than chiropractic's been around. Doesn't mean we're old. We're seasoned. We're seasoned. If you're fortunate enough, there is something special. Only because you're here, right here, I want you to hear about it. I want you to know about it. I'd love for you to join us. There is a grand opening, and this is open to the entire profession. It will be amazing. The day before, on February 27th, the first ever Life University Disc Centers of America clinic, grand opening, ribbon cutting, stars, celebrities, picture taking, certificates, awards, swag, all this fun stuff. It's going to be amazing. I don't want to tell you too much about it. All I'm going to tell you is we would love to see you on the campus. Take a picture of this. Obviously, what I would love for you to do is screenshot this right here, right now, so you know where it is. It's fine. If you went to Life, I'm going to say something. Don't laugh when I say this. It's right near the Big Chicken. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. It's near the Big Chicken. That's right. You will get a manual. You will get an incredible manual. And it's a brand new manual. It's actually, I think it's close to, it could be over 300 pages. It's a brand new manual on neuropathy and decompression. The manual alone is worth 10 times the price of admittance. Minimum. Forms, research, science, clinical data, new content. You want this manual? It will never be sold. It will never be shared again. It is only available if you're able to get a seat there that day. And now I get a chance to kind of talk a little bit about our guest speaker, but I'm not going to do that. You know who's going to talk about it? I'm going to share with you something really interesting, and that is there's a relationship between our guest speaker, who's got cred like nobody on the planet in our profession. That's called credibility for short. A resume like no other. The former president of the National Board of Chiropractic Examiners, and he reviews more cases than probably anyone I've ever met in terms of what could go wrong in a practice. And what goes wrong? A lot of things. Well, you're going to learn about that here. You're going to learn about that. His name is Dr. Salvatore LaRusso, and he's going to talk about a couple of different things. And I'm going to fast track this so quick so you know. So if you're curious, say, wait a minute, what is this about? I'm going to tell you what it's about. He's going to talk about this. He's going to talk about why do I need a neuropathy spinal decompression university certificate. You're probably curious, why do you even need a certificate? Great question. Think about that. He's going to tackle that. He's also going to tackle this. He's also going to talk about, is it important to be certified more than once or get a certificate, more than one certificate? We have doctors that have like 13 certificates on the wall. You want to talk about credibility? They go to everything. They miss nothing. They have a resume. These are our family of doctors. They miss nothing. Does my staff need to receive a certificate? Do they need to be certified? What a great question, right? Is this just about the doctor or is it about your team? We don't like to call them staff, we call them team. Why is a certification different when given by a university than the equipment company of a table or device? What a great question, because a lot of you said, well, no, wait a minute. I'm certified by that company that I bought. There is a difference. You'll learn about the difference here. You'll know about it. You need to know about it. It's so important. And last but not least, how important is the informed consent form? Oh my gosh. Talk about the king of the informed consent form, the person who literally who put that together, who invented that form. Yeah, no doubt about it. But before we do that, what I would love is for somebody to talk about someone that's been in his life for over 40 years. There's a relationship between, you know who, Dr. Eric Kaplan. You might say, yeah, it's a Jersey thing. No, 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 it's much more than that. Dr. K, before the incredible Dr. Sal Russo speaks, would you be so kind to share a little bit about what makes this a one-of-a-kind Zoom meeting?
Well, I hope everybody tonight will understand one thing, and I say that not often in your life does somebody touch you in a mechanism. We're in a touch business. Imagine that we deal with subluxations, degenerative joint disease, degenerative disc disease all day long. And in your journey, doctors, in your journey, sometimes some people make you better. Uh, because of Dr. LaRusso, I'm a better doctor because see, I was always on offense, and Dr. LaRusso taught me defense. I call him the Bobby Knight of the profession because he understood why you need to be certified. Meaning, so many people, doctors today, that want to do. Listen, don't get me wrong. We all want to make money. But Sal, like when we have lunch or whatever, he'll tell you, like, I mean, there are people now, whether it be neuropathy, decompression, and they talk about chocolate cakes called the ring ding. I mean, these ring dings are like out in the profession, or it's a technique maybe that's called the ring ding, but they stole it from a chocolate cake, and maybe one day Nabisco will get mad at them. But what Sal understands is that he deals as one of the experts to all the malpractice companies. But let me tell you what he does. He not only teaches defense, he's on defense for chiropractors, meaning, they're going to ask you, who taught you decompression? Who taught you neuropathy? Who taught you knees? Well, where were you taught it? Were you taught it when you were in school? Most times the questions are no. And then that's why you need to be certified. And then you're going to say, well, I was certified once. Sal will tell you the more certifications that you have, the better it is. And when it comes to neuropathy, doctors, let me give you the facts of life. You need to know about the Feinberg study. The Feinberg study automatically talks about how bulging discs create spinal disorders, as does the Schwartz study that shows that neuropathy and sciatica go hand in hand, as does the Murphy study, which talks about balance. And the Murphy study was done also, Murphy from the Mayo Clinic. Then you have the Starr and Weiss that say sciatica could be a form of neuropathy. So hold on. What we're saying, doctors, many of these things can be treated, but they're going to ask you, like, where did you learn this? Where did you learn about the Barabinda study? Well, if I can tell you these studies, doctors, this is what we're going to do in February. You want to know the studies, you want to know the science, you want to know the compliance, then you need to be there and you need to be certified. Because if you do neuropathy and anyone questions you, they're going to say, well, where did you learn this? Where were you certified? Dr. LaRusso donates his time. He goes out of his way. He comes in and helps. But you know what? One of the things that Dr. Bard, myself, my son, Jason Kaplan, we share, because see, the difference between Perry and I as coaches, different from most other people, we're in the game. My son's in the game. We talk about cases all the time. And I'm going to tell you, most times, doctors, every time we do a case presentation, a report of findings, let me tell you something. I love when I hear doctors say, oh, all I'm getting is bad leads. No, there's no such thing as a bad lead. You know what there is? There's a bad close. Because you went into your mind and you listened to their BS, their banana stuff. We'll just call it banana stuff for today. Because see, if they understand the severity of their problem, doctors, then they will take the care. They will find the money. And you have to believe that in your heart, because that's what it's all about. Now, the beautiful thing about Life University is they opened up their gates. They opened up the most beautiful campus I've ever seen in the chiropractic profession. My son got his undergraduate degree there. Perry did his chiropractic school degree there. I mean, and you talk about Dr. McCauley and Dr. Fogarty, committed to the profession. Sal knows these people because we were also raised in the, but with Ian Grossum who worked with us. But one of the things that we do, what the university does, is they're making a difference. And what Sal talked about, we talked about, Perry talked about, is the day before we're having a grand opening, because Life University will have a Distant America Life University clinic. We will deal with neuropathy. I will give you the studies on electroanalysis. That's the Feinberg study, the Wiley study. You want to be able to handle this, so listen, if you want to be the best, you have to have the best brand, the best equipment, the best systems, the best technology. But, part of the best systems is you need to have, as Perry said, offense and defense. If it's Super Bowl Sunday, this is Super Bowl Wednesday, because getting Dr. LaRusso to come out tonight, you can see he got new glasses. By the way, Sal, those glasses look great, man. I want a pair of those. I think we should all wear those at the neuropathy seminar. I mean, you look so good tonight. I'm going to tell you the pink shirt. But what I love, doctors, is what Life University is doing with the first distant America. And, we have a commitment from Life University. This is not, listen, Perry and I are donating our time. You can call the chairman of the board, president, and say, are we getting paid for this? No, but here's what I'm telling you. Why do we do this, doctors? Because let me tell you, the middle class of our profession is going away. You're either making it or you're not making it. And I'm going to tell you, you want to know what the best offense is? Know your stuff. Be the best at what you can do. And Dr. LaRusso is going to talk about why doctors are being sued. One of the things today is don't be sued. Decompression, neuropathy, strokes. We're getting sued, doctors. You know why? Because I guarantee if I went around the room today and said, how much do you have in malpractice? Most of you can say 1 million, 3 million. Malpractice is becoming a bigger game than auto. And you people are sitting there on the sidelines saying, oh, not me. Yes, you. So the university's committed. The monies that we raise through the university goes to research. And what Dr. Bark said, what we're saying tonight is everyone, whether you're a founder, I think everyone should be a founder of the clinic because I think it's a great thing on your resume. I think it's a great thing to do. I highly recommend it. You can call me. I'll see if it's not too late to sneak you on the board when you first walk in the clinic. But what is phenomenal about this at Life University is they're doing this for you. And it's an HCU program. And it's great. And you're going to make a difference because we're going to talk about the STAR study with sciatica. We're going to talk about the Berry study. What about the Rosenbaum and the Rashbaum studies? Oh, God. There's so much of that new manual that Perry talked about. That's the offense, knowing your stuff. But the defense is Sal LaRusso. And when you talk about competition, Sal practiced, I'm going to check it next time, Doc. I would say about 2 miles from me. And we used to both see hundreds of people, over 200 a day, within a mile. There's no such thing as competition. That's an illusion. If you're the best at what you do, doctors, people will find you. Build the field and they will come. Why does Joel Osteen get 18,000 people on a Sunday? What Dr. LaRue teaches is what he teaches about. He just doesn't teach compliance. He talks about watching your end, how to bulletproof your practice. And I know this guy when he was the chairman of the board for the Florida Chiropractic Examiners. He was the head of, I think he was involved with the ICA. Then he became National Board of Chiropractic Examiners. But he always protected the chiropractor. So, yes, he's been a friend of mine for probably 40 years. But I learned about him and everything. And I'll tell you, dedicated. He used to work 7 days a week. And then he started to tell me, you need to work on Sundays. I worked one Sunday. I said, I'm just not as dedicated as Sal. But here he is helping Life University. Sal was a founder of Life University. He's going to be a key instructor. Dwayne Clemens is going to be there. He's going to talk about brain injuries. We have Jay Lombard going to be there. I mean, we have orthopedic surgeons, Dr. Vinya going to be there. And the grand opening is open to all of you people. If you're not there, you're missing it. Why wouldn't you be part of a historic day in the history of profession done by Life University? Dr. LaRusso will be there. You'll get pictures with him. As I said, if you want to know how not to be sued, how to bulletproof your practice, as I said, he developed an intake form. We'll provide that in February for everybody that shows up. The new book, we're going to show you the ultimate book on neuropathy, 830 pages. I'm scared to put it down because you can hear how heavy it is. You can see how thick it is. Done with myself, Dr. Bard, and Dr. Lombard. Took us a year to write. And then in October, we're going to have a knee program. Why? Because people are doing knees. And a knee on track is only FDA cleared as exercise equipment, not as a medical device. But see, Sal's going to tell you this. So, without any further ado, I want to introduce Dr. Sal LaRusso and let him take over because I will tell you, he knows how to bulletproof your practice. He knows why certification is important. He knows why you have multiple certifications. But he also knows what you have to know to sleep well at night. Sal, without any further ado, please take over.
Thank you, Eric. I'm always humbled by the nice things that Eric and Perry say about me. I've been around long enough that by trial and error, I've gotten to this point in my life. You can see I lost my hair, so I bumped my head a lot here going along. But, offense is much more fun in practice than defense. I was an offensive guy for my first couple of years in practice. I had a box on the wall, GPC system. People paid $8, $10, $12. Sometimes people even put buttons in the box. They didn't put cash. But it was all about serving and giving. And then what happened was I had people start complaining, and I got involved in board complaints and litigation. And I saw these people on the board, and I said, you know, these people don't even practice, and they're regulating a guy that practices and sees a lot of people. So over the years, I got into more of the regulation and discipline and compliance issues. Lily will remember the days in practice when we struggled collecting $8, $10, $12 a visit from patients. And you know, when you're collecting $8 a visit from a patient, and they don't get well, you know, they lost $8. But in today's environment, when you're selling packages and you're collecting 3, 4, 5,000, 6,000, 7,000, I hear some people collecting $8,500 for a package of visits. There's an enhanced expectation of professionalism and competence. And what we did years ago in treating patients and in doing things that we would pick up at a seminar, technique-wise or equipment-wise, and bring it back into the practice, they don't translate into today's environment, because there's a lot of litigation, there are a lot of rules, there's a lot of regulation, and there's a lot of compliance issues that we've got to deal with. So I'd like to go over just the highlights of what I want to talk about, and then if people want questions, or if Eric and Perry want to jump in, you know, we can fine tune this. But the most important thing I want to go over is that when you buy equipment, no matter whether it's a knee or it's treatment of neuropathy or it's a decompression equipment, you always got to be aware of the manufacturer protocols for the use of the equipment, the do's and the don'ts, and the contraindications. That's number one. So be aware that each manufacturer has protocol requirements, and you're expected to know them and follow them. I've got a case recently. For some reason, I get a lot of these crazy cases where the doctor's using a piece of equipment and he didn't follow the treatment protocols and the manufacturer protocols and recommendations. And the plaintiff attorney just brings up the manual and says, "Doctor, you bought this equipment. How much did you spend for it?" "I spent $85,000 on a piece of equipment." He says, "Really? Did you read the manual that came with it?" The guy's looking there. He says, "Manual?" He says, "No, the salesman explained things to me, and they provided me with a YouTube video." I just want you to know that as a professional that's collecting $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 on a case, you're expected and you're held to a higher standard than the guys who are treating somebody at one of these places. I don't want to badmouth any type of organization, but there are some places that, you know, where you go and you don't get any x-rays, you get a brief exam, you get an adjustment, you walk out the door. That was appropriate 40 years ago, but today you're held to a higher standard. Always follow the manufacturer recommendations and treatment protocols. Document a detailed and thorough initial visit. I can't tell you how important it is when a case comes to me and I look at the doctor's treatment records and I look at the initial visit and I say, wow, did he get a history? Did he get any prior treatment records? Did he review any prior imaging? Did he consult with anybody that's treated this patient for many, many years? Did he consider that in his evaluation and in his treatment going forward? And unfortunately, I see a lot of doctors that see patients that have been under care with another provider for many years, and they never even ask to look at the records. They never find out what the patient was complaining of, how they responded to treatment, and what the issues were. Document a thorough initial visit, deep tendon reflexes, complete orthopedic and neurological exam. You need to have that, especially if you're claiming that you're treating a disc or a neuropathy. We want to see a detailed examination to see that you did DTRs, that you did pinwheel, that you did sensory touch. You have to show the basics in your initial exam. Prior care request for records, very, very important, especially imaging. A patient comes into you with a lower back problem, they're having sciatica, and you're thinking about putting them on a decompression machine. If they've been treated before, look at the records, and especially look at any imaging. Imaging and prior imaging is important because you want to document the baseline of how they presented to you. Because what I see in a lot of cases is a patient is treating with another doctor. They've got the symptoms. They're not happy. They come in and get decompression, and they worsen initially. They go and see an attorney, and the attorney says, wow, you've got a herniation. Well, the doctor should have known if you had a herniation when you walked in the room. Prior record review is important, and also get an MRI before you start any type of pull or any type of treatment on a person that is a complicated case. And when I say complicated, I mean somebody comes in having symptoms of cord equina. They're having a bulge that is impinging on the cord. If you have a significant enough irritation in that spinal cord, you need to make sure that you do a thorough evaluation and look at the records that the patient has come in with or has had under prior care. An informed consent, you know, in a state like Florida and in many states around the country, an informed consent gives you a higher level of protection. That's why whenever you go into a medical office or into any hospital or a treatment center, they pull out these pages of informed consent and they go over the risks, the issues, the chances that you're going to get better as opposed to things that could happen. They're going to go over the protocols of what other options you can take other than this so that you are informed with all the information so you can say, Doc, I understand what you're going to do. I understand what the complications could be, but yet I want to go forward. When a patient makes that and gives informed consent, it allows you a broader area of defense should a claim come in, because then the patient can't say, well, the doctor never told me about that. The doctor never explained that to me. You need to have a proper and thorough informed consent. And I could have a whole day on just informed consent and the pitfalls of the doctors getting it on an initial visit and 2 years later bringing a new technology into the practice or doing something on a new area that they weren't covered on the initial informed consent. And now what happens is the patient has a complaint and the doctor says, oh yeah, I got an informed consent from 2017. Oh, really? Well, your whole practice has changed in that time. You've changed how you're treating the patient, what technologies you're using. And in addition to that, you never asked the patient's permission and had the patient given an opportunity to ask questions, pros and cons. There are no alternatives that were discussed. So
Sal, can I ask you a question?
Okay. Yes.
So in February, Sal, we're going to give out an informed consent, correct?
And we're going to give out an informed consent framework template. Yes.
Perfect. And then what they have to do is every time what you're saying so that everybody understands it, because I'm onto it. I love what you're saying, that every time that they add a new piece of equipment, that piece of equipment has to be added to the informed consent.
Well, it's got to be explained to the patient what you're going to do with them, how you're going to use it. And it's got to be added, and they've got to say, okay, yeah, I understand. You know, add that to my treatment protocol. I am giving you consent. I've been informed, and I'm giving you, the doctor, consent to use that and to treat me for that condition with this equipment. Yes, that would be the best way to do it.
And we're going to go through this in more detail in February, correct?
Sure. Especially when a patient, the thing that really drives me crazy is we have doctors that are treating patients and they're treating for an extended period of time. And the patient comes in with a new problem or an exacerbation. The doctor doesn't do a history. He doesn't do a new exam. He doesn't produce a new diagnosis. He just goes and treats the area. It's hard to defend that. You need to stop, listen, evaluate, consider options, and then get permission to go ahead and treat. You just can't, once a person says, yeah, I want you to treat me for my elbow, that doesn't mean that you can start treatment for the knee and the foot and everything that they never initially had the complaint for. It's a logical progression, but you've got to understand you're required to stop, listen, consider, and then contemplate what you're going to do with the patient and get their approval. You need their consent. That's why it's called informed consent, not just consent. It's an informed consent. You've given the information. They've had the time to deliberate and discuss things with you, and they're giving you consent to treat. Yes.
I find that great, Dr. Russo, because I'm going to tell you what happens, and you know it as well as I do. In the business that we're in, so many times they're scared to re-examine them because the insurance might not pay. They're scared to re-x-ray them because I don't want to over-x-ray them, the insurance might not pay. But what they don't understand, Sal, is the insurance, that same insurance the malpractice will sue them because, like you said, they didn't examine the elbow. They didn't explain the equipment. They didn't take an x-ray of a new area, and maybe they needed to render a new diagnosis. Is that correct?
Correct. Absolutely. Listen, when I'm looking at a file, I'm trying to defend a doctor. When the plaintiff attorney says, doctor, they came in with a new complaint. Did you consider doing an exam? And he says, well, no, I've been treating this patient for years. Yeah, but not for that problem. I mean, where in the universe would you get that type of protocol where somebody would just treat something that they haven't even had a consult about, taken a history about, did an exam about, and explained to the patient what they were going to do and got a consent to go ahead and treat? Only, I see this in so many practices. It's just sloppiness, not following the procedure, not crossing their T's and dotting their I's. And it's hard to defend somebody because it makes them look unprofessional. And what we're trying to do is look very professional, and we're charging very professional fees. We're charging the fee that puts us in a realm of a higher expectation. So you have to do a thorough exam, and you have to do the informed consent appropriately.
It's one of the things, Sal, that I'm so thankful for, and I say it's about you, I say it's about Life University, is that Life University is taking a stand. They're taking the profession to a higher level by providing certification programs, by bringing in people like yourself that teach these certification programs, because, when there are people in clinics, Sal, they follow certain rules. All of a sudden they become a doctor and they think they're invincible, but they're not invincible if they don't follow the rules. Right. And one of the things that you do, and what tell them, Sal, why being certified is so important, and doing it annually is so important, and for every treatment program you do.
Well, let me explain something to you. The profession years ago didn't have schools that were accredited. Our schools are all accredited by a US DOE recognized agency. Okay, Department of Education has CCE, and CCE accredits the school. And what they do is they accredit the parameters of the educational content. Now, what you learn in an accredited institution, what we consider in your professional degree program, you are sort of safe harbored in practice. So in other words, if a claim comes in and a plaintiff attorney or an investigator says to you, where did you learn that? You could say, I learned it in my educational program. Unfortunately, there are a lot of technologies now, and there are a lot of treatments that are going on that you don't learn in your undergrad or in your professional program in your accredited institution. So it's important to align your training with an accredited and reputable organization, like an accredited institution, like University or any of the other accredited schools that are sponsoring and providing you with additional education you didn't get in your degree program. So if you didn't get it in your DC degree program, you're now getting it sponsored and overviewed by an accredited organization, which is the school. So it's very, very important. It's more important to have training within your profession by an accredited organization than it is to even have it by the manufacturer, because the manufacturer's got a dog in the hunt. They are selling the equipment. They want to sell it. It's going to be a proprietary type of training where they're going to really emphasize the benefits without emphasizing all the protocols that you need to go through. But an accredited institution that's providing a post-grad supervised training gives you an additional layer to show that you've done your due diligence when you bought this equipment in providing the best care you can for your patient. So it's very, very important. And to continue with that education is very important. That's why additional certifications show that you spent more than 6, 8, 10, 12, 20 hours, 40 hours, 50 hours. Just imagine if you're trying to defend what you're doing and they ask you, where'd you get training in that? You said, well, I bought the equipment from the manufacturer and they've supplied a YouTube video. Or the manufacturer had the salesperson train me. Oh, how many hours? 4 hours, 2 hours, an hour. There's nothing that protects you better than, especially in litigation, and say, I've had advanced training. I've taken 12-hour modules in this program. And I'm proficient in it, and I've been using this technology based on the training that's provided in an accredited institution. So it's there is nothing in the profession that you can do better than to get a training that's supervised and affiliated with a CCE accredited educational institution.
Not only that, so I want to recognize you for this, because one of the things that's going on, thanks to you, thanks to John Downs, Dr. Downs, Perry's classmate, Dr. Fogarty, Dr. McCauley, that Life University now, Sal, will even be having a course in the undergraduate program on decompression. So, like, if I was an intern at Life University, if I was a student at Life University, if I was an alumni at Life University, what you're saying is the more hours of certification I have, the better expert witness I would become, or the more I bulletproof my practice.
The better defendant you would become, yeah. The better you would be in a better position and a more credible position as a professional that's charging a fee commensurate with today's healthcare costs. You would be in a position to where you have the highest level of credibility for using that technology, because you've got a CCE or you've got a university-based training that you've complied with. You didn't get it in your degree program, but you went back to a university that's accredited and you took another program. The fact that this is being taught in a technique program in an affiliated, in a CCE accredited university, gives you the highest level of credibility, in my opinion, in saying, well, listen, I learned it, and I learned it as a student, and then I took additional program certification to learn and become proficient in it. Because, you know, what you learn in your degree program is, again, safe harbor. It's been evaluated, it's been certified, it's been in a framework that allows you a certain amount of credibility. So they say to you in the deposition, doctor, where'd you learn to do that? Well, based upon my education, training, and experience, this is what makes me proficient in it. Now you can say, I've taken additional programs post-grad in this new technology to make me proficient and to specialize in this type of care.
Because the program, Sal, that we will teach, the certification that we're going to do in like February on neuropathy and things like this is within the syllabus of the university. So they'd be able to say, the university teaches this to the students, but I did it on a postgraduate level. And I've been to, you know, I have 20 hours, 30 hours in certification programs, you know, like you take Dr. Delgado. I mean, Dr. Delgado's probably have 30 hours already in certification. Dr. Bard, I mean, Dr. Delgado, you just keep padding the thing. And then you have like someone like Melissa Falkenberry, who understands, you know, that's why people sell, even with balance testing, you know, and I go to the study that we talked about, you know, the Murphy study. People have equipment and they don't understand why or how to utilize that equipment, or how to put that in their intake form, or how to bring it to the patient. You know, my belief, as I said, there's never a bad lead. There's only a weak report of findings or a weak consultation, because I believe, Sal, that becomes what I call the C's, the confidence, the clarity, and the commitment. Meaning, you know, people don't understand that, you know, if you looked at the studies, they show that one of the 7th leading cause of deaths in our country now are people that have balance problems. They fall and then they hemorrhage out or they bleed out. Now, is that diagnostic to neuropathy? You bet. And then if you read the study from Yale University, it shows you that many of the people, even before they realize they're diabetic, they have neuropathy. And yet only 20% of the people that have neuropathy are diabetic. So that means that there's a world out there of people that have neuropathy because the symptoms they come in with, pins and needles in their hands, Sal, you know, numbness, sciatica, things that we would diagnose strictly as a form of kinesiopathology, you know, strictly as a form of the subluxation. That, remember, what does the subluxation do? There are 5 components: kinesiopathology, histopathology, myopathology, neuropathology, and pathophysiology. And the neuropathology component of the subluxation would create neuropathy. And having a program like this at Life University, and their commitment to the program, their commitment to the clinic, which, by the way, you know, Perry and I flew to Georgia last week, Dr. LaRusso, and you're going to be very proud to be a founder. Thank you so much for doing this. The clinic really is going to look great. Dr. Downs, Dr. Fogarty, Dr. McCauley, Dr. Gross have really stepped up and have made this special. And by you filling in the blanks, Sal, by teaching them, Perry and I, we're good at teaching the offense. But I told you, you're the Bobby Knight of defense, baby. Even though you went to Seton Hall, which is never known for the best defense. But I'll tell you now, with the new coach, they play great defense. They're very committed. And it's a phenomenal thing that you do, Sal. And, people don't realize that, when Sal, did so many things for the National Board of Chiropractic Examiners. I mean, Sal would tell me stories about, listen, it's not just graduating from a school, doctors. If you want them to graduate, you want them to succeed. You know what? We don't want to be the weakest link on the fence anymore. We don't want to be the weak link. And people like Dr. LaRusso, who gives up his time and he does this, gratis to the university, he gets on a plane and he flies out and, and he teaches doctors how to bulletproof your practice. And that's what Perry and I do. I mean, we want you guys not only to succeed, but we want you to be safe. To succeed and be safe. Because I will tell you, go ahead, Sal, please.
One of the important things about the trainings and what I notice about the trainings is I see the doctors taking notes, because there's nothing like being in a training and realizing that when you have a complicated case, you pick up the phone, you call a colleague, or when you have a complicated case, you pick up the phone and you talk to one of your ortho or neuro friends or another radiologist. The importance of co-managing complicated cases is what many people pick up in your trainings. You can buy a piece of equipment, you can learn how to use it, you can feel good about it, but there's nothing like being with colleagues and kicking the can around and learning what this guy's doing, what this guy's doing, what this gal's doing, what this gal's doing, and learning how to be a better doctor. But co-management and having colleagues in other professions so you can help co-manage the patient and get approval. I was just in your son's office the other day, and we were looking at a record, and the patient had some degenerative stenosis with some very bad spurs around a herniation. He says, "What do you think about if I pull this person?" And I said, "Well, the first thing I want you to do is let's look at the imaging, and let's talk to the radiologist, and let's talk to the neurosurgeon that this patient is seeing, and tell them what you're going to do, and get their opinion." There's nothing that makes you look like a more patient-based, patient-centered doctor that to have in your records that had a consult. I talked to the neurosurgeon, I reviewed the records, and then we decided to go forward, or we decided to not go forward. That makes you look so much more credible, especially if the patient or if the issue has gone south and the patient doesn't wind up with a good result, ultimately needing surgery or having some sort of other complication. The other thing, before I move off the topic, is your electronic health records. I've been talking about electronic health records because I've been seeing this nightmare for probably about the last 15 years since they came out with the first rendition of electronic health records. And I just looked at Dynamic Chiropractic this week, and they've got a lead story, a whole thing on the pitfalls of electronic health records. I want to tell you again, and I say this in every one of my risk management programs, there is nothing better than a dictated encounter-specific office record. When you go through these electronic health records and you go template after template after template, it allows you to produce a very, very voluminous office record. But the specificity of the encounter involvement and you're on a specific date with the patients complaining of them, what you examined and what you found and what you did, nothing takes the place of an encounter-specific dictation that's somehow made into an electronic record. The problem with the EHRs is that they encourage the doctor to record things that he really hasn't done, or that he hasn't done thoroughly, or that he hasn't done that's specific to what the patient's complaining of, which opens a whole new area of exposure. Okay, so it's very important that you look at your EHRs, you understand how they work, and understand that no matter what you do on any EHR, there is a backup to the cloud to the program developer that in the litigation, they can go back and look at the initial time you opened that record, when you created it, when you corrected it, when you edited it, and the question is going to be why. Before you close out an electronic health record, I want you to review it each date and edit it before you close it. Once you close it, you go back into it, you've got an electronic footprint. So if you make a change, let's just say you treat a patient, you create a record, and then on the third visit, you go back and you look at a prior visit and you say, oh, you know what? That's not right in the visit before. If you go back into that record and amend it or alter it, you have to put in to the record a reason why you're going back. And failure to do that makes you look suspicious, makes you look like you're altering the record, which is what I call, what I term to most of these defense attorneys. I say, listen, this is a right to check moment. I said, because there's no reason in the record that I can see why this doctor 3 years later went back into a record and changed it. Okay, it's just a big problem. So understand that your electronic records are immortalized when you close them. And if you go back into that record and you alter it or update it for whatever reason, you have to explain why on this date you've gone back to update it. Don't just go in there and change it and say these are your original records, because they're going to get the developer's originals, and they're going to see why you went in, and they're going to and the question is going to be endless, and it's going to make you look like a fool. So electronic health records are very, very important to understand and to use appropriately. And if you don't know how to use them appropriately, get some training from the EHR people. And if you can, dictate your note and scan it in and make an electronic record. That's what I recommend, because there's nothing better than encounters.
I have a question, Doctor.
Go ahead.
You finally hit a real nerve with me. I have been trying for more than 20 years to find the right system, the right program. I've worked with, I'm not going to name the names, but reputable companies. And what you said, I am still doing a dictated note, because there's no such thing as a good note out there.
Absolutely.
Is there anything that you can do to, and what I'm missing is the practice management because of that note.
Sure.
That note needs to be into the computer, and it needs to be processed throughout. It is the entire case.
Yep.
Okay. And a month later, because I'm in New Jersey, 1 month later, I have to do a re-exam, and it's based on that first note. Okay, the amount of time that my office manager and I are spending on this is incredible, ridiculous, because it's not in a comprehensive program. In your opinion, is there anything decent out there that's usable?
You know, I can't plug one or the other. There are some that are amendable and editable, so you can customize them to your practice. There are a few of them out there, and you know, I can get you some names, but I'm not going to do it on this recorded program, because you know, for obvious reasons. But realistically, the dictated encounter specific is, in my opinion, is the best if you can scan it in and create a record like that. If you want to use one of these EHR systems where they have all these different templates, you're going to have to get a customizable one and work with the developer and say, listen, in my practice, and you have no, I mean, there's nothing to prohibit you from calling the developer of the program and saying, listen, I want to customize this to fit the unique way I run my practice. And a couple of them in the past I've known will accommodate you and work with you to customize and move some of the templates around so you can make the template specific to the way you're going to practice. But listen, I work with my buddy up at the big neurology group up here. They've got like a dozen neurologists, and he's a great chiropractic advocate. And we sit and we chew it down sometimes. And he says, listen, he says, I've been in practice 40 years. He says, and I can tell you that if I work an 8-hour day, I have at a minimum a 4-hour night of edits before I close out the patient's file. So I leave them all open throughout the day. And then at night, before I close that file, I edit them, because a lot of the treatment is based upon my evaluation going forward. I can't have errors. I can't have shortcomings in my records. And that's what I want to impress upon doctors, is your record is your lifeblood to defense. You have a good record.
I'm going to jump in, Dr. Russo. There's no such thing as a bad question. And that's why, Dr. Luca, that's why we're doing this thing at Life University. And, in a 1 hour Zoom meeting, you can't cover all these areas that you've been looking in for years. But I will tell you, our clients don't have these issues because we provide them with ongoing training. I mean, it's not just what you provide.
I'm already booked for February. I'm
I'm
there
sorry.
for the end of the month. I'll be at Life
I
this
think you're going to enjoy it. I think that you'll learn a lot. I think Dr. LaRusse will be there. But that's why, Dr. Luco, that we do it, because the questions that we have in the profession are not always answered. And the point is, that's what we're here to do, to bulletproof the profession and to create better modules. And that's why we're blessed. And I say it blessed to have a Life University. I'm wearing now my Life University blazer. Okay, Dr. Fogarty. Okay. He says, where's the life swag? Here it is. Get me, but what, having a team like Dr. Jay Lombard coming in, a neurologist, and other people, and Sal coming in and doing this, and us providing the research and neuropathy book of studies. And when you learn all the studies, and as well, because I want in your notes that you can say the Feinberg studies talks about bulging disc and spinal disorder, because why did you charge this person for neuropathy? Where were you trained about neuropathy? I want you to talk about the Feinberg study, the Murphy study, the Stard study, the Binder study, the Bander study. I want you to know these things because that will go into your note. And that creates a strong note. And a strong note, you don't have to go back and retract it or change it. And that, listen, I will tell you, my thing is, Dr. Lucas, because you asked really a great question. My son didn't want me to do this. It takes time and energy and effort. I got to get on a plane. I got to go there. But you know what? It's people like you, Dr. Luca, that we're going to take this profession with great questions. And we have people like Dr. LaRusso and Dr. Fogarty and Dr. McCauley, and providing now that Life University will be teaching programs on this. This is how we take our profession, because we're not looked at as the best profession. All you have to do is look at what the reimbursement is for physical therapists versus what we're reimbursed. It's time that we know they're not going to give us the respect, so we have to demand respect, and we have to do this. And I'm glad you'll be there in February, and I'll be there in February, and Dr. Fogarty will buy you a drink. So we're excited, to have you there. And I think doctors, as we come more near the end, and Dr. LaRusso, I think that's why Dr. LaRusso said, the more hours of certification that you have, the more levels of certification that you have, the more that you protect yourself. Because I will tell you, one of the people once told me that attorneys, they make one doctor called a pro, and the other one they call you a prophylactic. So what makes you look great? What makes you look stupid? Okay, and that's the way it is. And then I told the attorney, why don't sharks eat attorneys? Professional courtesy. So now that we understand what we need to do, we need to protect ourselves, and we need to insulate ourselves. And Dr. LaRusso, I mean, thank you for giving up an evening where I know that your wife wanted to go out to dinner, and you look so nice tonight with your glasses and your pink shirt. I'm very impressed. And what you're doing for Life University, Sal, we're so appreciative, and as I said, when I was talking to my son, and we talk on a daily basis, as I said, doctors, listen, this is not an easy business, but no business is an easy business. You tell me an easy business, I want to be involved in that business. There's no such thing as a tire ticker as a patient. There's no such thing as a bad lead. It's just that they didn't understand the severity. And I think the more that you know the studies, and you can quote it, because see, if a subluxation becomes a bulge, and a bulge becomes a herniation, and now that we know that if you go through the Feinberg study, that we know that a bulge is also associated with neuropathy. So people might come into your office and they might come in for neuropathy, but they might have a disc area. And the question I'm going to ask you, Sal, in closing is, people that come in with MRIs, how old should an MRI be?
Well, if there hasn't been a recent injury,
Correct.
I would say within a year. Most surgeons would want one, contemporary to when they're going to do surgery. But if there's been an injury or a change since the prior imaging, you should have a current image. But generally, I would feel most comfortable in one less than 6 months. But within a year, we'll give you some safe harbor. But if they come in with a 3-year-old MRI, you need to get a new one.
And I think that's important because, you know, chiropractors, Sal, historically, they're scared to ask, like, oh, it's going to cost more money. We teach our clients how to walk in and get a cash program, meaning we say, listen, we're in 46 states. We have over 250 clinics. We know that the Medicare reimbursable rate is what takes place. That's why at this Centers of America, at NeuroDoc, we set the standard. And now that we're doing this with Life University, which will be treating these, you know, when people learn about MIR, why MIR for neuropathy? Because it's microchromatic, energy. And people need to know how microkinetic energy, or they need to know that shockwave helps create mesenchymal stem cells. We're going to teach all this in February. We have a star-studded host of people, Sal, doing offense and defense. And, so Bobby Sal Knight, you were always great. And is there anything else that you want to bring to them that they need to do?
No, I think we covered the outline of the basics, but I can't emphasize enough how important it is to document that you are proficient and you've been appropriately trained in whatever it is you're going to do, and that you take the time to listen to the patient. What they tell you, record. If they tell you something new has happened, you stop, you consult, you do an updated history. Then what you do is you do an updated exam. And if you're going to use something new as a technology, or you're going to treat a new spinal area or a new area of the anatomy, you get another informed consent, getting the patient the chance to ask a question, you answer the questions, and then have them say, you know what, I feel comfortable, let's move forward with the care. That's what I want to see. Makes life a lot
I have
easier.
to tell you, I have so many questions for you. I do. I cannot tell you how many questions I have for you, Dr. LaRusso. But guess what? I'm saving them for February 28th, live there. And I'm gonna share 3 letters with everybody here. And the 3 letters I'm gonna share with everybody is, you ready? OMG. Oh my gosh. What is this, a Jersey thing? Dr. Korb, Dr. Luca, Dr. LaRusso, Dr. Kaplan. What the Jersey? And by the way, Dr. Korb, and raise your hand if this is true. You ready? You tried to attend at least 4 to 5 events that we've given, and every single one of them has been closed out. Fact. Raise your hand if that's true. True. I'm so happy to see you on this, number 1. Number 2, I would love to see you February 28th. I've already told you that ahead of time. And number 3, the best part is you're not eating spaghetti tonight like you were on the last Zoom meeting because you made me so hungry. You remember that? Do you remember? I know you'd be laughing out loud if you were unmuted, but that's the truth. Do you remember that? You were eating a plate of spaghetti and I said, oh my gosh, what was it, like marinara, pesto? What was it? But I want to see you there. OMG, Dr. Luca. Great question. And OMG, oh my gosh, congratulations, brother, on securing a seat and putting your money where your mouth is for your patients. I know if I'm your patient, as I am for Dr. Daniel, and I am for Dr. Delgado and Dr. Unkin, and I can go on and on. Oh my gosh, Dr. Shoemaker and Dr. Downs and Dr. Fogarty, Dr. Backenstos. Do you know what it's? They're all part of our family and they're all on here learning. But everybody else, love to see you. These are, I know if I'm your patient, I'm so excited that you continue to sharpen your own sword. There's an old saying, iron sharpens iron. And when we put great doctors around other great doctors, OMG, do we have surprises for you on Saturday, February 20th? You know I'm terrible holding surprises, but I'll do it for tonight. I got 3 more letters for you. You ready? You want to hear 3 more letters? I'll give you 3 more letters right now. Ready? This is right in Dr. LaRusso's wheelhouse because he's going to talk about something known as SOC. What's SOC? It stands for standard of care. So if you are just simply meeting the standard of care, that's a very large gamble you're taking. What Dr. LaRusso does is he shows you how to blow away the standard of care by empowering, insulating, protecting your practice, your patients, governing a much better compliant model. He's going to give you tips, tools, strategies, and secrets to do that. He's saving his goal for February 28th. I'm so excited. And last but not least, and then I'm going to show you a couple more slides and then we're going to go. But I'm going to share one more thing with you. I'm going to show you another 3-letter word. So let me see. I had OMG, right? Then I had, that's an acronym. Then I had SOC, right? Standard of care. You want to know my favorite 3 letters? This is right in Dr. Kaplan's red book. Wheelhouse. Bible, if you will. I'll spell it for you. Ready? WHY. Why? Why? Why did you come tonight? Why? Why did you even come to the Zoom meeting? Why did you take time out of your busy schedule, doctors, to spend this quality time with us? Why? I'll answer the question for you. Because you want more. Because you want to become a better version of yourself. You want to be a better doctor. I'm going to share a guilty pleasure with you, and then I'm going to kick it over to Dr. Kaplan. I'll show you some slides. He can talk through it while I'm doing the slides. But I'm going to share, right? I'm going to share a guilty pleasure with you. Can I do that? Raise your hand if I can share a guilty pleasure. Raise your hand. Right? Never said before on a Zoom meeting, never shared before in a live training, never shared. Dr. JK, you're digging it. I know you're digging it, brother. Here's my guilty pleasure. I don't tell too many people this, so you got to keep it a secret. Don't share this to anyone. My reputation might be besmirched a little bit. I don't know what besmirched means, but it sounds like a big word. I don't know how to spell it, but from a kid from Brooklyn, not bad. My guilty pleasure, real simple. Did you ever watch the show 2020 on a Friday night? Did you ever watch the show Dateline? Did you ever watch these crazy shows? Crazy, they're nuts. Because they start one way, they end another way, and then you start asking yourself, who did it? Who did it? Oh my gosh, I can't believe that happened to that person. Who did it? See, the D in doctor, as Dr. Kaplan always says, the D in doctor stands for detective. All of you are detectives. The R, oh, that's why Dr. LaRusso's here. That's called results. It's all about demands results. The D in doctor is detective, and I love. That's why I have so many personal questions. I actually took notes, believe it or not, and I'm going to ask him, and you know what I'm going to do? Ready for this? If you're there with us Saturday, February 28th, I'm going to ask him these questions live in front of everybody. Everybody's going to go, oh my God, I can't believe he just asked that question. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do because I have some incredible, he just said things that I said, oh my God, I used to do this in practice. I did certain things, maybe consciously, subconsciously, that protected my practice, my patients, my universe. And I probably saw, I don't know, you know the numbers, 20,000, 30,000, 40,000.
Well, Dr. Bard, you got frozen out.
That many.
Jason, can you hear me now, though?
That many.
Frozen.
Do you know how many times
So what I'm going to do while he unfreezes himself,
you know how many times?
that's what happens when you're on Mars.
I'll tell you how many times. You want to know how many times? It's really simple. 0. And you know why?
What?
I'll tell you why. You want to know why? It's called luck. It's called luck. But it's also great records. It's also great records. Doctor, let me see. Did I lose it for a sec? There you go. Come on, baby. All right. So I want to share my slides with you. Dr. Kaplan, would you be so kind as to just take us home here and explain here about this upcoming training here? Would you do that?
Yeah, it's very funny, Perry. You're talking about TV shows, and I'm going to bring in one thing you said. I'm going to bring in one thing Sal said as we come to close, because the Knicks are playing a very big game tonight. You know what that means to me. And it's all about, Perry, what you said, offense and defense. But what Sal said, the days of the $8 and the $10 visits are over. And now that you're selling treatment plans, doctors, you need to do it. And, one of the things that we do with CEU programs, doctors, is that, we're not allowed to talk about the money component. But I'll talk about the money component tonight when I ask you, what is one new patient worth to you? When Dr. Russo talked about 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, whatever it is, that some patients charge this, it's not what you charge, doctors. It's the value. I had one doctor call me today because the patient came in and the patient got 80% better, but they still felt they had symptoms occasionally. Well, that's an amazing thing. And we're going to go through this in detail, in it, because we don't correct. My son adjusted me last week, and probably in a month from now I'll need to be adjusted. This neuropathy decompression certification class, which we only do once a year, I can't believe I wanted Life to raise the price. I'm showing my Life badge again, Dr. Fogarty, because what they're going to get for $379, the manual alone is probably worth $1,000. I had one person, Perry, last week says, "Oh, I raised my fee when I spoke to you because I felt my value was better." This is a brand new book. And you know what? One of my favorite series, Perry, to go back to you, is Landman. And what he deals with is the oil industry and all the problems and all the complications and the crisis. Well, guess what? You and I, Perry, we should write a new show called Backman. Because you know what? It's not an easy business, Jason. It's not, Devin. But you know what? It's a business we must master. Go back to the last one, Perry, please. This is the invitation. Everybody take a picture of it. You're all welcome to come to Life University, to be at the group. If you're a founder, great. If you're not a founder, get on the program. But I will tell you, you can come to this. There's not a charge for this. It's going to be never. It's Perry would say it's historic, meaning you can never have the first thing again. And that Life University is committed because the people like Sal LaRusso and the people before Sal LaRusso, like Dr. Ian Grossum, that we are doing this and setting this in the university setting, because Sal says if it's not taught in a university and that Life is committed to adding programs, I'm excited about this, Perry. I'm excited to be there. And we even have a PhD from Stanford coming there. I mean, we have surprise guests that'll blow you away. I mean, we were on the phone today with Dr. Downs, and they're putting this beautiful clinic together with the best of equipment. This is I'm very excited for the profession, because as I said over and over again, the road to success, doctors, is always on construction, always under construction. What are you doing tomorrow that's going to make you better tomorrow? What are you doing in a week from now? Because as Dr. Luca brought up, listen, you have to have defense and you have to have offense. And Dr. LaRusso will be there. Dwayne Clemens will be there. And I'll tell you, you're talking about a guy who's defensive end, captain of the Bengals and the Chiefs, 3 Super Bowl rings coming. Why does he come? Because he's against people doing opioids. We know with neuropathy, Lyrica, Cymbalta, Neurontin. Okay, we know they're not effective. The most effective one is Lyrica, which only shows a 50% success rate, of which 50% have side effects. So you're back to class zero. But you're going to learn this. Why? Because Jay Lombard, neurologist, is going to teach you all the things that you need to do. So I'm excited to be there, not just to teach, but to learn. And you can do that by neuropathycertified.org. Normally these things are sold out. This is very exciting. Really, thank you, Dr. Fogarty. Thank you, Dr. Downs. Thank you, Dr. McCauley. Thank you, Life University. We want to make Life University the premier institution. Why premier? Because you know what? It's time, doctors. If you were a pro athlete, the goal is to take your game to the next level. Mike Ditka from the Chicago Bears said there's 2 types. There's old pros and all pros. Old pros sit back and look at their clippings. All pros make new clippings every week. And I look at you, Dr. Korb, and I look at you, Dr. Delgado, and I look at you, Dr. Luca, right? I mean, listen, we're not the young bucks on this thing, like Dr. Thane, who's now thinks he's retired. You'll never retire. You're a doctor, you son of a bitch. The point is, and if I can't use that word I just did, the point is, here you guys are out in the industry doing it. Melissa Falkenberry doing it. Listen, when Donald Trump needs money, he calls Melissa Falkenberry, and she's still on the board in Arkansas. She's still out doing it. Karen Shoemaker, are you kidding? This is the quietest, wealthiest woman in the world. I mean, there's so many great things that are happening today that we're doing that can take the profession to the next level. Notarizing, being the best equipment, the best brand, best equipment, best system technology. And we're doing this, again, with the help of Life University, who has a commitment to have their students be the best students. To understand, as Sid Williams used to say, you have to have your loving hand and you have to have your business hand. But when you can bring those hands together, and that's what Dr. Bard and I do, we want to bring the legacy of Life University, of Ian Grossum, of Sid Williams, and all the greats together. And that's why, I mean, when you can say a guy like Chipper, the big Chipper, raise your hand. This son of a gun, right? You know, I mean, he's closed more cases in the last year than he's ever closed in his life. And it took us years to get him to come on board. And he's so dedicated. He was even at Woodstock, I think. So when you when you understand, so the profession's going in a great way, doctors. And it's our job and our obligation to do this, to do this. This is our time. There has never been a better time for chiropractic. Listen, when you go home tonight or you're home, you turn the TV, watch how many drug commercials that you're going to listen to. No chiropractic commercials. How many drug, and you know what? People are now walking into the doctor's office asking for the drugs. Well, you know what? We're the non-drug solution. Chiropractic first, drug second, surgery last. But you know what we're learning? Back surgery, 50% success rate. Lyrica, 50% success rate. Yet, if I talk to my doctors, we have a higher success rate. I can't wait to see you people in February. I can't wait to work more with Life University. And this is the beginning of a great relationship and a great friendship. And for the founders that are on, I know there's a bunch of founders. I want to mention all the names. So I don't want anyone to feel bad. They're not a founder. If you're not, give me a call. Do it. We'll still get there. But I will tell you in February, be at the grand opening. Everybody's welcome. Dr. Korb, you come. If it's sold out, I'll get you in. You come. I look forward to seeing you.
Thank you, everybody. February 27th, 28th. I promise you this. I can't promise too many things, but if you're fortunate enough to grab a seat, you will discover and very possibly rediscover your why as to why you got in this business and why you continue to do it at the highest level possible. Thank you, everybody. Neuropathycertified.org. Register now. Well, you will see you there. Thank you, Dr. LaRusso, for everything.
Thank you.